So back with the gloves again. And it's kind of cool if you have a partner in crime who wants to help you, they could, you know, take on the ink bomb responsibility. So now I got my veggie oil. I'm going to get rid of this stuff because I am putting my hand in it and my arm in it. So I'm taking the brayer and rolling the excess brayer ink onto the acrylic sheet. All right. If you happen to have, remember those razor blade scrapers that you saw in the lab? If you have a sharp razor blade in that razor blade scraper, you can scrape across the acrylic. That works perfectly well. I just don't have one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab the veggie oil and I'm going to put out an amount. And you guys remember this, I think. Is I'm just taking it gently across the top. I'm not really pushing hard because I'm going to let this stuff kind of do the cleanup for me. And now I'm taking it over these other areas and across this. So I'm distributing the oil and I'm also helping it dissolve. So this is where you want to be wearing your least favorite clothing, just in case this slurps onto your clothes, or you want to wear a work shirt. But now you can see that on my brayer it's got a lot of oil, which is good. And now I can grab my rag and I can start wiping away most of that excess ink. So just to get most of it off initially, and then I just keep refolding my rag. So I should have done this earlier, sorry you guys, is the rag I will usually fold into thirds or quarters so that I can find a cleaner spot every time I need it. So I make full use of the rag. So this isn't perfectly clean yet, but it's not as bad as it was. So now I'm going to take this and then I'll wipe that. And that same thing. So I'm opening this up and I'm folding to another side. And if you guys have like simple green at home, or if you've got method at home, or even if you made some soapy water in your garage sink or in a bucket out in your yard with some Dawn dishwashing detergent or Windex, you could degrease. So this guy is all cleaned up. I'm going to set it over here. I'm going to grab the palette knife and I'm going to go back to that inky sloppy part. I'm going to wipe that off. I'm going to open this up again. Isn't that beautiful? Find a less disgusting part. And kind of keeping it, that slurry on the plate when you're rubbing helps the oil to dissolve the ink. So there's that puppy. Gonna fold it around again. And then wipe it down. Ooh, that's slippery. Okay, so my inking area is taken care of. Now it's my plate. So in the lab, we usually have pieces of wood that we wrap our plate around. We wrap our rag around. So I don't have that. I didn't give you one. So I'm just going to ask you to basically fold up and then almost roll your rag. So it's almost firm, like it has a board behind it. And it's gotten really oily at this point. So I'm not going to put any more oil on the rag. I'm just going to use the rag and its beautiful oiliness to dissolve the ink on the surface of the plate. Then I'm going to do that same thing, just finding another spot, rolling it nice and tight. And this is something where I know on my plate I was carving away, and even by just rubbing my hand against it, I accidentally lifted off part of my carving. So you know, you're gonna have to give it some pressure, but know that if you rub a little too vigorously, you might rip off parts of your carving. So just pay attention to what you're doing. So now I'm gonna open it one more time. Find another spot, there we go. And then there is my plate. So now, my last thing is I'm going to take that piece of proofing paper. Oh, look at my beautiful handprint. And I'm going to just rub that piece of proofing paper that had something on it I didn't want, just to get that extra ink off the top. All right, so there's my plate. It's on top of that nice big thick piece of newsprint. This I'm going to put into the little bag. And now I'm back to this guy who looks really disastrous. So actually what I think I'm going to have to do, and you're probably going to have to do this as well, is that these are very porous little brayers that I was putting in each of your packs. So this is probably where you're going to have to take one of those recently cleaned plates, put some oil on it, and just take about 2 to 5 minutes. You can meditate. It's actually kind of fun. You could draw with it. But roll the brayer around so that you've definitely got the oil all over it. And then grab your trusty rag. There it is. So this is going to take a number of efforts to get this ink off. But what I have to tell you is please take the time to do this, because if you leave it like this, uncleaned, and you come back to it and you ink up again, it usually makes for really poorly inked plates. So just give yourself time. Know that it's going to take you 5 to 10 minutes to get the brayer perfectly clean, and that's okay. And then you'll just have to keep wiping up some of this oil. But that's why I usually keep one of the rags that's really oily, so I can basically just keep repeating that. So again, I would grab some oil, put it out on a plexi or acrylic sheet, roll it around one more time so I know that it's all over it. Kind of have to spin it, find a cleaner spot of my rag. Look at that! It's almost... Okay. I think 3 times between wiping up initially, putting oil down, cruising this guy through it, wiping it, doing it again. It's still got some ink on it. You'll notice that this rag is what I call a fully saturated rag. It's oily, it's inky. We've made really good use of it. So in its last efforts here of being a rag, a shop rag, I'm going to wipe down this piece of acrylic. And then I'm going to put the shop rag in here. Now it's kind of hard for me because I know that we pay for these, but you know what? These are unusual circumstances, so just we're going to throw it away. So I have this trusty, I think one time, long sleeve t-shirt from somebody's drawer. And what I ask you to do is with a clean rag is to go over the brayer. And that way you can see how inky my hands are. So wipe your gloves because they're going to want to keep putting the ink back on your brayer. But just wipe it down until it looks like it's ink free. Like that. Ta-da! That's a reasonable cleanliness. And then just wipe down your plexi or acrylic sheets one last time. And again, if you've got, I'm looking over at our shelves, do I have any Windex? I've got a degreaser. So this just happens to be 7th generation. It's just something that will get the oil off. It smells very healthy. So I wipe that down. I can wipe this down. I don't take it to the brayer. Brayer does not get any water-based solvents on it, just the oil. Then I spray this. Yeah, burp it. I'm going to take this puppy back out. And then I just take that damp part of the rag and I wipe it down to pull off that last bit of ink. And then I've got a little bit of something that I can wrap this puppy in. And if you don't have a space where you can leave stuff out, then what you can do, if you've got a leftover Ziploc bag or, bag that you held your veggies in it, just stick it inside of that, fold it over, and then you'll have a nice safe place for it. If you've got an area where you can just leave it out, just put it face up on top of the cut piece of paper bag or on top of plastic and let it air out, and it'll be ready for your next printing.